management based on participatory integrated multi-risk management concept. It aims towards a disaster-free and disaster-resilient India. APHRD Institute is established to be developed as state-of-the-art training complex. This institute is meeting the training and capacity building requirements of staff of government departments, undertakings, and other public functionaries. The training encompasses depart orientation, skill development, physical and mental fitness, and ownership of the programs of the government of Andhra Pradesh. Government of Andhra Pradesh considers the APHRD Institute that it should emerge as a national institute of excellence, duly focusing on modern management techniques as also the right mix of service and self-sufficiency. As we all know that India is among the world's most disaster-prone countries with 27 out of its 28 states and 8 union territories exposed to recurrent natural hazards such as cyclones, earthquakes, landslides, floods, and droughts. And now that climate change and the environmental degradation have further compounded the frequency and intensity of these disasters. While it is not possible to avoid natural hazards, adequate mitigation and disaster risk reduction measures can prevent the hazards becoming major disasters. Indian government has been actively pursuing a paradigm shift in disaster management from the relief-centric approach in the past to a holistic one that encompasses preparedness, prevention, mitigation, and risk reduction. Hazards such as flood and earthquake have become disasters when society lacks the ability to cope with them. Teaching and learning about DRR and climate change is the key to increasing individuals and communities' knowledge about hazards and what to do when they strike. These are challenging times of COVID-19 and it has impacted nations across the world, disrupting lives, economies, and societies. Now, APHRDI and NIDM coming together to build the disaster resilience, it is a need of this hour. Now, I welcome our Shri D. Chakrapani Sir, IAS, founder Director General of APHRD Institute, Andhra Pradesh. He retired from the service in July 2011 as Additional Director General MCHRDI, Hyderabad. After retirement, he held the post of Director, Center for Innovation in Public Systems, a grant in aid organization of Government of India from 2011 to 16. He has also held the post of Commissioner and Director of Immediate Education, Government of AP. As Secretary Projects, Irrigation Departments, he was responsible for the implementation of irrigation projects. He was also Additional Special Secretary, Finance, and in charge of the monitoring and control of all externally funded projects in the Andhra Pradesh. He has attended various international programs such as in Washington, D.C., Manila, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, and Australia, and has been a regular visiting faculty of APARD Institute, Hyderabad University, Labasna, MCHRD Hyderabad, IIM Vishakhapatnam, and ATIs of Assam, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, manage SV University, and has exhaustive experience in agriculture cooperation, irrigation, education, finance, and procurement. He has addressed various international programs on procurement procedures funded by World Bank and DEA, Government of India at SKI, Hyderabad. After obtaining Master MA from Osmania University and Diploma in English Studies from CIEFEL, and after a brief stint in teaching English in one of the private colleges, he has joined AP State Road Transport Corporation as an officer in 1976. Subsequently, he joined state government as deputy collector in 1977. After being trained in Warangal, he held the post of RDO, Mirialguda, and CDPIT. Also, he has worked as district manager, Civil Supplies Corporation, Hyderabad, as District Collector of Nizamabad, and Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Andhra Pradesh State Scheduled Caste Welfare Corporation, holding additional charge of the post of Managing Director, Andhra Pradesh Water Resource Development Corporation. He has also the distinction of working with the two chief ministers, that is late N.T. Rama Rao and Shri Janardhan Reddy. Sir, I welcome you to this program for your inaugural address. Sir, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shilki and Mr. Sanjay Kumar, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, and Mr. Ashish. I'm always very happy in interacting with participants and friends from NIDM. I derive immense satisfaction in being able to request the NIDM to set up their Southern Center in the premises of the APHRDI, and I'm sure they will soon move into their permanent building, which is under construction in Krishna district. I am also very happy that all the programs of NIDM and APHRDI have seen very substantial and significant participation from different functionaries in public systems all over the country. And I would like to compliment NIDM as also the APHRDI staff for ensuring this kind of participation from all over the country. So I think efforts like these will reinforce the need for the synergy of efforts between national institutions and institutions which are located in different states. As all of you are kindly aware, this is a moment in history where we are meeting after the pandemic and the manner in which it has been able to impact our lives. We have done, by international standards, India has done very well in containing the effect of pandemic and bringing the state and the various apparatus of the state back into action in a very calibrated manner. And all this credit, I'm sure, should also go to organizations like the NIDM, which have played a significant role in sensitizing the functionaries in different parts of the country. We also need to document our own efforts in terms of what we have done, and probably bring in a certain amount of further reinforcement of the efforts being made by all of us insofar as these instances are concerned. I'm glad that NIDM, in addition to focusing on natural disasters, is also looking at climate change. Probably the two areas we need further efforts are the manner in which the health emergencies, health concerns are handled, are properly documented, and a lot of this information is spread to different parts of the country through the various public institutions already in place. The second thing is the IT, the disaster recovery. As far as the IT is concerned and cyber security efforts are concerned, probably we also need to sensitize. We also need to build capacities of different ATIs. I'm sure NIDM is already thinking of this, the disaster recovery relating to information, hacking of information in different parts of the world, and the manner in which today's conflicts are also being fought, both in terms of chemical warfare, biological warfare, and IT. I think we need to sharpen our knowledge and see how best we can move forward in this direction. The subsequent items relating to the efforts which probably we need to look at is how do we ensure the financial recovery in terms of uh, putting back the economy into shape. This is also very, very important. A lot of these actions impact common man, impact to people, particularly at the grassroots, particularly at the vulnerable sections of the society. So I think in all these, a concerted effort between the state training institutions and NIDM to ensure that things are brought back to normalcy in a seamless fashion. The conduct of examinations in academic institutions, conducting of uh, various events relating to building confidence. The medical colleges need to be reopened, but then there are certain challenges. So all these would open up enormous avenues of learning for the state government and the national institutions like NIDM. NIDM, with its very, very clearly defined enactment, I'm sure is best suited to play this major role of bringing back the country uh, to normalcy in various spheres. So, economy, financial recovery, education recovery, educational syllabus being properly imparted, exams being conducted, IT, security for IT and data. All these will play, I'm sure, a major role in the future programs of the NIDM, and I'm sure state level ATIs and the state level government departments would benefit from this kind of a documentation, which I'm sure will be taken up by the NIDM. I noticed that almost 1,000 participants are already they're there in the program, and probably some more will be joining or have already joined through the YouTube. And I would like to again compliment both the NIDM and the APHRDA for this wonderful performance. All my good wishes for the 3-day program, and we would, I'm sure, be immensely benefited by the presentations made and the capacities being built by both these organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful inaugural address, and thank you very much for coming and delivering us your talk. Now, moving ahead, I request Mr. Ashish Kumar Panda, sir, for his context setting remarks. Sir is faculty at ECDRM Division at National Institute of Disaster Management, New Delhi. He is a Central Secretariat Service Officer with an MBA in Disaster Management. He is pursuing PhD in Climate Change field. He has more than 6 years experience in the Disaster Management Division of MHA. He joined NIDM as a faculty member in September 2019 and is looking after forestry, biodiversity, and animal inclusive disaster risk reduction section of ECDRM division presently. Sir, over to you for your remarks.
Thank you very much, and a very warm good morning to each and everybody present here. Because of some internet issues, I'm at home right now because of some issues. So I cannot open my this video. It is creating trouble. So kindly bear with me. So here I am. Very good morning to each and thanks for joining today. Thank you, Chakrapani sir, wonderfully I mean, encouraging us in every time whenever we have requested you, you have always been there for us, sir. And you have always complimented NIDM and APHRDI for joint collaborations as far as continuum of education and training is concerned. And your that idea that we were discussing of holding chemical disasters in future NIDM programs, that has been very well taken, sir. We will definitely take care about that. And you rightly said that further efforts in the field of health emergency and climate changes is the need of the hour. We have for good documentation also, cybersecurity efforts, sensitization also, capacity building with respect to in this regard. And very important aspect you said, sir, that education sector needs to be given much more new times of new normals in the pandemics. So your good wishes have always been a blessing, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful inaugural remark. And as we all know that Honorable Prime Minister in his AMC DRR talk in the wonderfully covered, rather professed 10 important points with respect to his agenda, famous agenda on disaster risk reduction. Talks about imbibing principles of disaster risk management in all developmental schemes. Then it talks about including risk mapping for all. Then women participation and leadership, and leveraging science and technology for disaster risk reduction processes and mechanisms in our country. Bringing universities and educational sectors together, giving them a platform to talk about DRR measures, and use of social media and platforms to bring forth the awareness generation issues, and then learning from disasters, past disasters, lessons we need to learn from our past disasters as well, and also international collaborations we have to go for. And sir rightly mentioned that Chakrapani sir, that we are living in the times of COVID. These are new normals. Lots of numbers of deaths, loss of economy, livelihoods. We have seen migrant issues, environmental gains. Some gains definitely we have seen. Probably that have posed some questions with respect to what should be our new definitions with respect to growth and development in this new times of conservation of environment and mother nature is concerned. Then education system continuity in the times of this pandemic, new normals. So during this, trying times, we can say this National Institute of Disaster Management and APHR have come together many times and have been collaborating with each other with respect to organizing either it be webinar of 1 day or this program of 3 day training workshops, and associating thousands of participants. You can see in this in today's program also we could cover 3,000 important participants in our last program. So the reach of NIDM and APHRDI when they come together, important, very, one example we can set before our education industry is going to cover various important topics on basics of disaster management and disaster risk reduction. We will try to cover COVID-19 sensitization, and then basics of disaster management and institutional mechanism, the need for disaster management plan, and what are those tools that is required to prepare disaster management plans, be it government sector, non-government sector. Then community capacity building we are going to cover. Cyclones, specifically the Amphan that recently Indian continent, that we will try to cover. Forest fire, the roles of remote sensing, roles of GIS in disaster risk reduction mechanisms, animal inclusive disaster risk reduction. We always we treat them as commodities, rather we should treat them as our fellow communities. So that one area, important area we are going to cover. Then we will cover science and technology innovations in the field of disaster the third day, and also the incident response system. When a governance system is there, that roles and responsibilities has to be fixed with respect to various officials which are involved in disaster risk management measures. So that one important aspect we are going to cover in this last in this next 3 days programs. So I'm confident that the participants will be benefited hugely from these discourses and deliberations. I would request all the participants, if they want to pose any questions, then they can pose the questions in the chat box. And every day, by the end of the program, we will try to cover, if time permits, some of the important questions, and we'll try to answer those questions. And we begin with the question of our patron, Chakrapani sir, our technical session today. This is the first day. We have Ms. Shilki, who is a professional and young scientist in National Institute of Disaster Management, in the area of forestry, biodiversity, animal inclusive disaster risk reduction. She is a product of a Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, and keen interest in any topic and issue related to environmental concerns, environmental conservation, and also ornithology, that is the study of the birds with respect to their behaviors. So I request Ms. Shilki to begin the technical session with her first talk on COVID sensitization. National Institute of Disaster Management has this mandate of sensitizing people in each and every program of its with respect to where we stand with respect to COVID-19, we should do, what we should observe, what are those guidelines, what is the news, latest news with respect to vaccines. And suppose a person contacts COVID, then after recovery, what should be the precautions he has to take and things like that. So I would request Ms. Shilki, young professional NIDM, to start the technical session with her first talk on COVID sensitization. Over to you, Shilki.
Thank you very much, sir. I hope I am audible.
Yeah, please continue.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone present here. And thank you, NIDM and APHRDI, for giving me this opportunity to present my presentation. And as sir has already told that it is our mandate as a premier training institute that we have to we should impart the basic knowledge about the current disasters and pandemics. So here, this is my first talk, and it is about COVID-19 sensitization and what we need to do, what we should not do during this tough time of COVID-19. It is all I'm going to just discuss in few slides. So the pandemic status, it has crossed more than 7 crore cases have been reported globally, and the deaths have been surpassed more than 16 lakh cases, and recovery rate is also improving. However, we are still having 2 crore of active cases globally, and in India, we have reported 98 lakh cases. We are about to cross the level of 1 crore. We are reaching it there. And we have 93 lakh recoveries already reported, 1.43 lakh deaths. So, out of total cases, we still have just 3.62% active cases. That means our recovery rate is improving day by day. And we have reported 7,118 cases per 1 million, and we have conducted more than 1.5 crore tests in our country, and recovery rate is improving more than 94%, and death rate is reducing 1.45%. So let us talk about the importance of lockdown. There was a study conducted by ICMR and corroborated by Ministry of Health. It says that the current R naught of the coronavirus infection is somewhere between 1.5 and 4, which is a measure of how contagious this infectious disease is and how infectious the virus is. If we take R naught on average 2.5, a COVID-19 patient can potentially infect 406 people in 30 days. But if we take preventive measures such as quarantine, social distancing, and lockdown, uh, if they are not properly implemented, but if we implement all these measures, then only 2.5, that is 2 or 3 persons will be affected by the same in the same period by the same patient. So preventions and treatments from COVID-19. We know that we still don't have a proper cure for this. So we have to make ourselves save ourselves from this virus by keeping wearing mask, avoid social distancing, and avoid touching our eyes, nose, mouth. Stay at home when infected, or if you feel that you are not well, stay at home. Cover while coughing and sneezing. Throw used tissues and into the closed bins, and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces. If you have any symptoms, please call the state helpline numbers or health ministry. It is 24/7 helpline numbers. These are, and you can take a screenshot if you need them. So what are the benefits of home quarantine? We know that hospitals are overburdened with these patients of COVID patients, and they also burdened before
Hello.
many other. Yes, sir. Hello.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. So it will help our hospitals huge bills, and the burden will be reduced. And we know that when we are with our family, we have emotional support. So the chances of improving are better at home. And do follow these measures, such as wearing a 3-layer mask, change it every day, and disinfect it with 1% sodium hyperchloride before throwing it in the dustbin. No, do not use others' personal things, and remain in one room. Use separate washroom and disinfect it after every use. You can keep this oximeter at home. If your oxygen level is more than 94%, then it is okay. And if the oxygen level drops, you need to call the hospital or doctors to get advice. And you can keep this portable oxygen cylinders at home if you have problems of low oxygen. So what is the vaccine update? The government of India says that the probability is the vaccines will be available till March 2021. But these are the agencies, those who are manufacturing the vaccines in different countries, and these are the phases in which they are on their way. And this is the timeline which it is indicated that most of the vaccines will be available in early 2021 or in the end of 2020. So until we have a cure, we have to enhance our immunity. So we have to do it by eating, improving our diets, eating low carbs and protein rich diets to help control the blood sugars and pressure, to keep us ourselves in good shape. And regularly consume vegetables, fruits that are rich in beta carotene and ascorbic acid and other essential vitamins, because they keep our immunity strong. Certain foods such as mushroom, tomato, bell pepper, and green vegetables such as broccoli, spinach, they build body resilience against viruses and diseases. And also you can take natural immunity supplements such as ginger, gooseberries, that is amla, turmeric, garlic, basil leaves, black cumin, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds, and melon seeds. This will help and boost your immunity. And probiotics can also be taken, such as yogurt, Yakult, fermented food. These are good for our gut bacteria. So these are the things you need to take care of. Immunity promoting Ayush medicines are also provided by the government. These are to be prescribed only by the practitioners and permitted under law of prescribing the medicine therapy under the specific stream. So these are some medicines that can be taken by the prescribed practitioners, permitted by the practitioners only. Distress yourself. When our body is in distress, uh, it will produce the hormone cortisol, and which will impair the response to immediate surrounding and makes the body susceptible to the infections. So we have to remove that stress. We don't need to stress about anything. Just keep ourselves happy or in positive environment as much as possible. Avoid smoking, alcohol, and other addictive substances. Avoid traveling as well. If you are traveling, do keep a sanitizer always and wear mask. Do not forget mask. Safe use of alcohol-based sanitizers. We heard several news in the newspaper that several people burned themselves because they were not taking proper care. So make sure while you use it, do not just use and go near the fire, because they are volatile substances and they are inflammable substances. Keep it out of reach of children and educate them how to use it, and teach them that only dime size is enough for them. And avoid touching your eyes just after rubbing your hand with sanitizer, because it might create irritation. Do not drink or swallow it. It can be poisonous to your health. uh, Wash your hands more often. And if you are that if you have had the coronavirus and you are recovered, there are chances of relapse. So because our immunity is reduced, so despite antibodies, we need to be more cautious. Coronavirus gene is changing sequences, so we don't know anything for sure that while we will get it again or we won't, that the immunity is strong or not. The post corona time In the post corona time, you need to take 8 to 9 hours of sleep, do pranayam, good diet, so that it will keep yourself in a good shape. uh, the loss of smell might return in 20 to 50 days. So be patient. Corona positive women after recovery should avoid pregnancy for another 4 months at least. It is recommended by doctors. And do take regular medications if you have blood pressure problem or blood sugar problem, if you are diabetic. So what is the way forward? That we have to flatten the curve and break this chain of spread of coronavirus. So maintain social distancing and work from home as much as possible. Learn online, take online classes, be cautious, do not create panic, and donate and help the needy. Also help the stray dogs, they are much neglected. And help stop spreading the rumors. Do not spread rumors no matter what. Always check before forwarding any message. Do check on Google or with other authorities. Fight the disease, not the patient. Be a corona warrior and learn to live with the pandemics hereafter, because scientists have been saying that this is not the end. It's just beginning. So more pandemics are on their way. So we have to be prepared for ourselves. So this is all from my side. Thank you very much for hearing me. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Shilke, just one point I thought I'll mention. Can I?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course.
Chakrapani here.
Sir.
This is both a point and an appeal. You know, we have the APHRDA has been preparing a proposal for running a certification program of about a year, both online, mostly online and partly offline, along with IIM Vizag on digital governance. On digital governance, I think it will be very useful if we are able to bring in disaster mitigation also as a significant component of this certification program. Then it could be there could be a lot of synergy of efforts between IIM Vizag, APHRDA, and NIDM. That's one suggestion. You may kindly examine whether it can be taken forward. The last point which you have already touched upon is lot of misinformation is being spread. A very, very valid point that you made.
Right, sir.
There are a number of websites which give us facts. There are a number of websites which are fact-checking websites. So my request to every person, every responsible person who is making use of social media is, please check the facts from the fact check website before you forward the same to others. It's a basic duty that all of us will have to exercise. Ignorant, motivated, or maybe genuine convictions without basis. These are all the grounds on which a number of lies are being spread about pandemic, about vaccination, about various other aspects relating to health. So kindly check the facts with fact-checking websites and then only forward. That's all is my point. Thank you. It's a wonderful opportunity that you have all given.
Thank you very much, sir. And
thank you, Chakrapani sir. You wonderfully covered two very important aspects that in all the courses, this mitigation aspect should definitely be part and parcel of whether it be a certificate or diploma course. Definitely, we will think about, and we can be party to that diploma course and can be party to diploma course also. The very important aspect you brought forward, that facts should be from only authentic resources. Because rumor mongering is a very important disastrous impact in a time of disaster. That itself is a disaster. So right amount of information and from the right sources. So that is very important. So thank you. 19 that is globally, as well as what is the status in India. You covered the importance of the status of vaccine updates also in India. What are the status, and probably by what time we should be having vaccines at the mass scale in our country, and general guidelines that is prevalent right now by the Ministry of Ayush, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Health, for taking care of health in this kind of times we covered. Then how to improve our immune systems, then go for stress management in the times of pandemic, and then use of alcohol-based sanitizers, how taking precautions with respect to that, guidance that is there to be followed. Then in a post-COVID scenario, what should be the precautions we have to take and do it forward. So, thank you so much. I thank you, and I thank Chakrapani sir also for wonderfully bringing two important aspects with respect to your presentation. So now we move ahead with our second talk of a technical session. That is my presentation. Kindly
Yes, sir.
permit me to upload my presentation, please.
Ravindra, sir.
Ravi sir, please kindly allow me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir,
Sir,
you're
audible, sir.
audible.
Audible, sir. Audible, sir.
जी जी आज थोड़ा कुछ इशू हो रहा है, मेरे यहाँ भी हो रहा है. चलिए, आई एम अपलोडिंग माय प्रेजेंटेशन प्लीज. Shilpi, it is visible.
Yes, absolutely, sir.
Okay, so thank you. So we are into the first day of our this 3-day beautiful program, wonderfully conceptualized, and this is second talk of the technical session. I will cover briefly the basic concepts of disaster management and institutional mechanism that is prevalent in our country. You can see this disaster management cycle in the very first slide of mine. And if we distinctly remember these two very important disasters that took place in our country, that 1999 of Odisha super cyclone and Odisha this Gujarat Bhuj earthquake of 2001. Thereafter, probably we started thinking holistically with respect to the whole of the disaster management cycle. Chakravarti sir just now mentioned the important aspect of mitigation. We have to write from response to recovery to mitigation, then preparedness, and also prevention. Prevention is also one important aspect. So whole cycle holistically we have been observing since those times, and I will try to cover the institutional mechanism, how we are moving ahead in the holistic times of a disaster risk management, and also basic concepts and terminology that is used for disaster management. I start with two important quotations. One says that a natural disaster sends a message to all that mutual cooperation that is the need of the hour. Otherwise, what will happen? Moments can change into glimpses, things can perish from our hands. Only the tragic memories will hunt our sleeps. So, the message is let us cooperate with each and everybody. This is time of multi-hazard. One only government can't do each and everything. So, multi-stakeholder kind of that holistic approach has to be brought it into the affairs a business that is called life. This is first message from the quotation. Second thing is we do not inherit the land from our ancestors. We should rather think that we have borrowed it from our children. So this is our responsibility. This is our moral take that we should leave Mother Earth, Mother Nature in such a fashion for our future generation in times to come, so that they can cherish the natural resources like anything. So these are two important messages with these two quotations, and we move ahead with the times of ever increasing disasters. Specifically, if you think about 21st century, the times of 2009 and 2018. These are IMET data that is available on the net. Annual average events that have been to the tune of 343, annual average deaths to the tune of more than 45,000, and average affected people world over that has been 184.7 million population. Average economic loss also that is associated with any kind of disaster that is to the tune of $176 billion. In the year 2019, specifically, if we talk about, then we have observed 396 natural disasters, nearly 12,000 deaths due to disasters, 95 million people globally that have been affected, and 103 billion US dollars that has been impact of economic losses with respect to disasters. And then this has not been averagely distributed across the globe. Asia has been the worst affected continent. Then 40% of the disaster events have occurred in Asia itself. 45% deaths and 74% population of the globe in Asia has been affected. And again in Asia, India is the worst affected country. Then 20% of the deaths and 24.5% of the population have been accounted for with respect to disaster as far as our country is concerned. In the disasters, floods have been the deadliest of the disaster that accounts for 43.5% of deaths. As far as the storms are concerned, they affect highest number of people, not the death, but the affecting people that has been the highest number as far as the storms are concerned. And if you remember the 2019, the summer of 2019, especially in the areas of Europe, it has affected people like anything. More than 2,500 deaths have been reported in Europe itself. Our Indian flood, if you talk about that monsoon rains of July to October, it has affected 13 states, mainly the north, and leaving no less than 2,000 people dead. Cyclone Idai, that was very famous, affected Mozambique and Zimbabwe in the month of March. More than 1,000 person got dead there. And then Storm Dorian, that was also famous, that affected US and Bahamas in September of 2019 with 358 deaths missing. Then if you talk about the number of events with respect to storms that were counted to the tune of 91, but it is just double as far as floods are concerned, that is to the tune of 194 in the year 2019. Then wildfires, if you remember, then Australian bushfire, then Amazon fires, then economic damage if we talk about, if in the year 2014 it was to the tune of 279 million only, now it has reached into billions, 30 billions in 2019. So that way, if you see if this graph, then continent-wise, Asia has been the worst affected continent with respect to a number of disasters. And also, if you see these two disasters in 21st century, if you will see, the number of events are increasing like anything with respect to not only number of events, but also number of people that has been affected in any kinds of disaster in the left-hand side of the graph. Right hand side of the graph, if you see, because of the science and technology innovations and because of the holistic approach that I was talking about, the number of disasters that is definitely increasing. The economic loss that is definitely increasing, but we are able to reduce the loss of human lives as far as impact of disasters is concerned. That is one area of hope, area of good sign of hope that I can talk about. And if we talk about India, then because of its unique geoclimatic conditions and a high socioeconomic vulnerability, if we talk about floods, then 40 million hectare for our mother India, motherland that is affected, that is total 12% of the total land area. Then droughts, landslides, and avalanches put together, it is nearly 68% of our land is impacted by these disasters on yearly basis. Then earthquake cover 58.6% of land mass. Tsunamis and cyclones, if you put together, then you must be knowing that our coastal area, that is nearly 7,500 kilometer long coastal line, and out of that 5,700 coastal line is regularly impacted by tsunamis and cyclones on yearly basis. This Global Climate Risk Index Report 2019 has measured India, put India on 14th, the most vulnerable country with respect to extreme weather related events. And economic impact is also very huge with respect to India. If you cover this 1970 to 2009 year, then we have experienced 371 natural disasters, more than 1.5 lakh deaths have occurred, and nearly 2 billion people, Indian people, have been affected. And then floods, they account for 52% of the total occurrences. Disaster damage, if we talk about with respect to infrastructure, crops, and livelihoods, then floods again are the costliest of the disasters. And human casualties, if we talk about, then earthquake is the most lethal disaster as far as India is concerned, with its ratio to the tune of 33%. Now we come to the basic definition of disaster. What is the definition of disaster? It involves three important aspects. First is loss of human lives, loss of material, loss of economy, loss of environmental damages and impacts, and also it exceeds the ability of the affected community, that is beyond the coping capacity. Another definition says that the occurrence of sudden or major misfortune which disrupts the basic fabric and normal functioning of the society or the community. So three important aspects: loss of lives, loss of infrastructure. Second important aspect is beyond the coping capacity of the community. Third is it disrupts the basic fabric and normal functioning of the community. So what we do, we go for planning, and then after preparing a plan, we implement those plans at the ground level. So disaster management is basically, we can name it as emergency management, is the creation of plans through which communities reduce vulnerability to hazards and cope with disasters. So disaster management or program and try to eliminate the the impact of disasters with respect to, we can't do away with the disasters. They will be there, but their impact we can reduce through right implementation, efficient implementation of the plans, that is called disaster management plans. If we talk about the causes, then four important causes: environmental causes, developmental causes, political, industrialization causes. Of late, if we talk about the 20th century and 21st century, we have been using Mother Earth like anything. We are removing trees, forest cover, watershed areas being reduced like anything. So what is the impact? Soil erosion, then expansion of floodplain area in the upper and middle course of rivers, and also the groundwater is depleting like anything. Then, in the name of development, in the name of growth, we exploit the land use. We in the name of developing infrastructure, we go for rapid urbanization and through technological development. So it increases pressure over the natural resources. If we talk about the political issues, then it may be civil wars, it can be conflicts between nations, conflict between states also with respect to use of natural resources. So these also can cause disasters. Then, in the name of industrialization, this warming of Earth and increased frequency of extreme weather events that are due to, because of this industrialization and only due to this GHG, the global this greenhouse gas emissions. And if we talk about impact, disasters impact individuals in the name of physical attributes, in the name of psychological attributes, but huge economic loss it brings to the whole community as such, through destruction of property, through human settlements losses, through infrastructure losses. It also has the capacity to alter the natural environment, loss of habitat to many plants and animals, that is very, very visible. It causes ecological stress also. Then all the important natural resources, they get scarce. So fight between community, fight between species, fight between man and animal as well. That is why this man-animal conflict and things like that we observe. And people get displaced, and because of those displacements, several challenges in the new settlements where they are shifting, and this poorer become more poor and things like that. These are the common impacts. If we see this schematic diagram of phases of disaster, you can see in a pre-disaster scenario, there are threats, there are hazards, there are warning. If we observe them properly, then through planning, we can lessen the impact of disasters. Then comes the impact. If you see the first impact time to first 2 to 3 days, this is named heroic phase. The people, the impacted community, the local government, the national government, subnational government, then all the affected or non-affected community, they come together, they start helping each other. So we kind of feel in a honeymoon phase because of the community cohesion. But soon after, you see this graph is going down. This is disillusionment phase. Then we start observing what is going to happen to my family if some person who is the earning member of the family has lost the life, then what is going to happen to the children. So those kind of disillusionment is there. But we are the human being, we are strongest of the species, so we come to the terms with respect to disaster, working through grief. There can be trigger events, there can be anniversary reactions. Again, we are going to feel gloomy, again we are going to feel distress, but again we buck up our morale, buck up our there's inner strength, and then we go through this reconstruction phase, and a new beginning we start. So this is the basic phase of disasters. This hazards can be classified into various categories like geophysical and biological categories. Then again, meteorological, geomorphic, floral, and faunal. This current pandemic, that is a biological disasters, that comes into this faunal category because it is presumed that it has come from the bat or some other wild animals to the human beings. So these are the classification of hazards. Now, important factors which are part and parcel of this disaster risk equation. If we talk about disaster risk, it is accumulation of some association or multiplication or division of hazard, vulnerability, and capacity to cope. If we talk about hazard, it is how potentially physical event can be to cause losses of life and property to the community. If we talk about risk, it's the probability of harmful losses or consequences. Vulnerability, it is inherent. It can be physical, social, economic, and environmental. It increases the susceptibility of an area or a community to damage and loss. And capacity is the prevalent strength, prevalent resources that is available within the community, society, or organization to deal with disasters. So four types of hazardous events that can be found in a community, in a local area. It can be natural, be it earthquake, droughts, floods, and things like that. It can be man-made also. This violence, war, armed conflict, physical assaults, environmental degradation is also one of the reasons, one of the hazards that can result into a disaster in times to come. Then also this industrialized society that is failing. Sir Chakrabarti sir talked about this chemical disasters in the times of this pandemic when we are trying to open the factories without observing the safety guidelines. So that there can be fire disaster, gas leakage disaster, and transport collisions also on the roads, road accidents and things like that. So we have to identify main hazards. We have to understand their characteristics. We have to assess their trends where they are having a recurring fashion, and whether, like Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister says in his 10-point agenda, that we should not lose any opportunity to learn any lesson from any disaster. So we have to assess their trends, and we have to take lessons from the previous disasters, and we prepare ourselves in that respect. If we talk about the capacity building, that this is the ability of the people, ability of the local community, ability of not only the government but also the non-government organizations, private sectors, and the systems, this governance, whether we are having the proper skills, we are having the resources or assets, so that we can face and manage adverse conditions, so that we can face and manage emergency and disasters. This is our responsibility to organize training programs like this training program we are organizing. This is nothing but a capacity building effort. So this is a process to systematically stimulate and develop capacities over time to achieve social and economic goals. This also includes through improvement of knowledge, skills, systems, and institutions, so that through the learning of past disasters and also skill enhancement, we are preparing ourselves to meet any this kind of disaster. Every disaster is different from this other disaster. So we have to prepare ourselves in such a fashion so that impact of disaster can be lessened. Then a hazard event is there, it is going to turn into a disaster only through exposure, through sensitivity of that particular event and that impact factor. So that accounts for vulnerability. Then it has got four segments. It can be physical. Physical vulnerability means it has the potential for physical impact on the physical elements at risk. That is called EAR. One example I can give: in Japan, wooden houses are there because they are very much prone to earthquakes. But probably this wooden house is not good if a fire occurs, or a hurricane kind of scenario. So different kinds of assets, different kinds of physical vulnerability. If we talk about economic vulnerability, it has potential impacts of hazards on economic assets and processes. Like example can be given that families with low income, they often live in high risk areas because they can't manage to live in low risk areas because of want of economy, this expenditure patterns, and also need a fund and things like that. Social vulnerability means there can be segment in the society, like people, there can be elderly people, there can be children, there can be women, pregnant, lactating women, people can be handicapped. So all this segment of society require different needs with respect to what they are going to need in a disaster kind of situations. So their social vulnerability will be different from other persons. Then there are environmental vulnerabilities. These are potential impacts of events on the environment. It can be flora, fauna, ecosystems, biodiversity. One example can be given that people living in the tropical areas are more vulnerable to tropical cyclones as compared to people living in temperate regions. So accordingly, their needs can be different. They are more vulnerable with respect to people who are living in other areas. So likewise, different kinds of vulnerability has to be identified, and accordingly, systems means should be provided to them so that they can save themselves in times of disasters. So what we have to do, we have to first identify the risk. We have to go through risk assessment like community-based studies, then probabilistic this modeling are being done by very S&T institutions, then risk mapping, information campaigns, public outreach programs also. Once we have identified the risk, what we do, we go for its reduction through either structural measures or non-structural measures, like this capacity building program that NRDM and APHRDI are observing right now. This is a non-structural measures of risk reduction, like bringing awareness into the people. The land use planning policy, that is very, very important, and we have to regulate it in such a fashion that environmental degradation can be checked. Then infrastructure retrofitting, suppose some building is always there, new buildings have to follow new norms. But definitely when old building is there, then we can go for retrofitting so that it can be saved from future disasters. Then we have to go for preparedness. Financial protection has to be there. Then resilient reconstruction. One important aspect of Sendai framework of disaster risk reduction, it says that build back better. It means once in infrastructure has been destroyed in times of disaster, when you're trying to put forth again that infrastructure, you are rebuilding, then it should not be the same infrastructure that made the disaster. It should be better than the previous one, so that you can follow better building code guidelines, so that the new building is in a better fashion to face future disasters. So basically, we can improve our abilities to monitor and forecast hazards so that we will be in a more cautious kind of a situation. We can increase awareness of the hazards faced by the communities. We can inform them about the future disasters. We can bring more awareness generation and about the exposure that they are facing. Probably they are unaware, so we have to make them aware. And the greatest benefits can be achieved only by reducing the vulnerability of the local community with respect to natural disasters. So if we talk about stages, three important stages. We saw the first slide of my presentation where I showed that disaster management cycle. This is pre-disaster phase, during disaster phase, post-disaster phase. All these phases have to be mitigated with respect to prevention, with respect to mitigation, then preparedness. And when disaster impacts, we have to go for response, recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction and things like that. So this is that cycle. So in the prevention, we go for activities which help us avoid adverse impacts of hazards and means to minimize related environmental, technological, biological disasters. In mitigation, it can be structural, it can be non-structural, and it is undertaken to limit adverse impact of natural hazards, environmental degradation, and technological hazards. And then when we are aware that by next corner, by next few months we are going to have a disaster, we go for preparedness phase. Advanced measures are taken to ensure effective response to impact of disasters, including timely and effective early warning measures and temporary evacuation of people and property from threatened locations. If you remember Odisha super cyclone of 1999, more than 10,000 people died. But if you remember recent funny and Celine kind of cyclone, the death figures are barely 25, 26 or 27, something like that. So it could happen because we are now aware that how we have to go for preparedness, how we have to evacuate people. Probably our evacuation of Odisha people that has formed in Limca Book of World Records also because of the that quantum that we have achieved in the names of evacuation. So we learn from previous disasters and we go for preparedness. So this is the message from this first part of my presentation, that we cannot definitely stop natural disasters, but we can arm ourselves with knowledge so many lives would not have to be lost if there was enough disaster preparedness. Now we go towards this institutional mechanism. So to talk about policy paradigm shifts, if we talk about year 2015, this was a very important year globally when three important world documents were brought forward. The first one was Sendai Framework of Disaster Risk Reduction for the period 2015 to 2030. The predecessor was the Hugo Framework of Disaster Risk Reduction, but now it is SFDRR. Then came the Paris Climate Agreement of 2015. Then also came the Sustainable Development Goals of 2015 to 2030. So this was a transition of SFDRR from the Hugo framework of actions. If you distinctly remember, I would like to tell that priority 4 of Hugo framework of action that was talking about addressing underlying factors of risk has now become the priority 1 of SFDRR. That is, we have to understand disaster risk. It is very logical also. Unless we understand the risk, how we are going to go for the mapping, how we are going to plan, how to reduce the risk and reduce the impact of disasters. So now we have to go for evidence-based studies. We have to go for indicator-based assessments with respect to disaster studies. So these are basically Hugo framework of actions. 3 strategic goals were there and 5 important priorities were there. You can see the HFA4 that is reducing risk has now become the priority 1 of SFDRR. In SFDRR, we have to talk about 7 important aspects. We have to substantially reduce 4 important points. One is global mortality rate, disaster mortality rate with respect to impact of disasters. We have to reduce number of affected people. We have to reduce economic loss in relation to GDP with respect to countries, and also reduce the damage to critical infrastructure and services disruption. At the same time, we have to increase number of countries with natural and local DRR strategies by 2020. This is the end of this year, and probably in the next meeting of UN, this aspect is going to be studied, whether we have been able to achieve this or not. Then we have to enhance international cooperation to developing countries, because the knowledge and expertise that is lying with the developed countries, that should be shared with the poor and developing countries, so that impact of disaster can be reduced. Then also we have to enhance the availability and access to early warning systems and DRR information through capacity building, through awareness generation. This is also very important aspect. I talk about SDGs. Due to time paucity, I can't cover all the SDGs, but then out of 17 SDGs, there are nearly 10 to 11 SDGs which talk about specifically DRR. Goal number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, and 11, 13, 14, 15. I will leave this presentation with all the participants here so they can go through distinctly with respect to all these goals, which specifically talk about DRR. So these targets, SDG targets, are in sync with other two important documents of those times of 2015, that is SFDRR, and also that is Paris Climate Change Agreement. Then if we talk about institutional mechanism in our country, you would be knowing that at the central level, we have National Disaster Management Authority, which has the responsibility to prepare guidelines, plans, schemes of things with respect to how to manage disasters. We have National Executive Council at the center. We have Cabinet Committee on Security. We have a Cabinet Committee on Management of Natural Calamities. The National Crisis Management Committee is there. We have our own National Institute of Disaster Management, this NIDM. It has the responsibility to go for imparting training with respect to disaster risk management and DRR. Then we have at the state level SDMAs, the counterpart of NDMAs, then DDMAs, counterpart of SDMAs and DDMAs. Then also we take help of corporate sector, professional bodies, NGOs, then scientific and technical institutions, academic institutions. We also take help from armed forces. Then there are several ministries which have different targets with respect to disasters. Like MHA is the nodal ministry with respect to disasters, but then other ministries like health ministry, you would be aware that it is taking care of the present pandemic. Then we have a specialized kind of force that is called NDRF, which comes to the action when this beyond the coping capacity definition comes into force, and when local districts or local state they can't cope with the disaster, then comes the role of the central government, and it sends the NDRF teams to the site to manage the disasters. And as I said, that there are nodal ministries. MHA is responsible for flood, tsunami, cyclone, earthquake. Then this health ministry is for biological disaster, this present pandemic. Then atomic energy takes care of nuclear disaster and things like that. The list is very long. Then I talked about holistic approach beyond 2001. When 2001, this subject of disaster management was transferred from Ministry of Agriculture to Ministry of Home Affairs. Then came this important Disaster Management Act of 2005. So this was a paradigm shift with respect to our understanding of the disaster, our approach toward disaster. We moved from response-centric approach to holistic approach in the year 2005. Now, it was enacted on 23rd of December 2005. It provides establishment of NDMA, SDMA, DDMA. Then it also provides constitution of disaster response fund and disaster mitigation fund at national, state, and district level. It also establishes NIDM and NDRF, provides penalties for obstruction, false claims, misappropriation, etc. And it also talks about there should be no discrimination on the ground of sex, caste, community, descent, or religion in providing compensation and relief. Then in the year 2009 came the National Policy on Disaster Management. It covers all the aspects of disaster management, including institutional legal arrangements, financial arrangements, disaster prevention, mitigation, preparedness, technological regime, response, relief, rehabilitation, so on and so forth. These two important documents, this DM Act and also national policy, that is easily available with the NIDM website or NDMA website. All the participants can go through these two important documents. And as for the Disaster Management Act, it envisages that all the ministries, departments, whether at the central level or the state government level, they have to have their disaster management plan. Accordingly, the whole country has to have an important national disaster management plan. So in the year 2016, Honorable Prime Minister unveiled this NDMP 2016, and it has synergies with the three important global documents of Paris Climate Agreement, SFDRR, and SDGs, and it covers all the elements of national national DM plan like risk profile of our country, institutional arrangement, disaster risk reduction, early warning system, emergency operations, disaster recovery, reconstruction, and so on and so forth. In the year 2019, it has been reviewed again, and three important new chapters have been added to NDMP 2016. So this is also available in NDMA website, and one can go and see these plans, I mean NDMP. Now, in the year 2016, Honorable Prime Minister came up with his 10-point agenda with respect to disaster risk reduction. These are very, very important points, and like few I will quote here, that all developmental sectors must imbibe the principles of disaster risk management. Then we have to encourage greater involvement and leadership of women in disaster risk management. We have to leverage science and technology with respect to improving the efficiency of our DRR measures. Then we have to build local capacity and initiative. We have to bring about greater cohesion in the international response to disasters. So these 10 important points, if we put together into force, then probably we are going to meet all the promises that we have made to the global community with respect to meeting the targets with respect to SFDRR, with respect to Paris Climate Change Agreement, and also SDGs. At the central level, I told that we have National Executive Committee. Our Home Secretary is the ex officio chairman. Then members of various important line ministries and department secretaries, they are there. Then a main job of NEC is to look after the coordinating and monitoring aspects of disaster management as per section 10 of the DM Act. It also prepares a national plan. This NDMP I was talking about has been prepared by NEC, then it is approved by NDMA. It also monitors the implementation of the National Policy 2009. Then NDMA, if we talk about, then Honorable Prime Minister is the head of NDMA, and maximum 9 members can be there. The NEC assists NDMA. Main task of NDMA is to lay down policies, plans, guidelines for disaster management, and the plan prepared by NEC is approved by NDMA. Then NDMA also recommends guidelines for minimum standards of relief provided to persons affected by disasters in the times of disasters. Then counterparts is SDMA at the state level. Chief Minister is the head of the SDMA. Then again, District Collector is head of DDMA. That is the counterpart of SDMA and NDMA. And it has a specific powers has been given to DDMA. It is responsible for planning, coordination, implementation of disaster management, and to take such measures for disaster management as provided in the guidelines. Also has specific powers to examine the construction in any area in the district to enforce the safety standards, and also to arrange for relief measures and respond to the disaster at the district level. Now our own NIDM. So we have this vision to play the role of a premier institute for capacity building and disaster management. We have nodal responsibilities for human resource development, capacity building, training, research, documentation, policy advocacy in the field of disaster management. We go for promoting the idea of culture of prevention. We go for strategic partnerships with each and everybody, like we can have MOU with APHRDI also with respect to imparting training and capacity building. And we also go for research, documentation, training, preparing training modules and reports with respect to disasters, like Chakrabarti sir was talking about documentation. So this is also one of our jobs. Then NDRF is a specific kind of force. This is unique in the world. You will not find this kind of force elsewhere. And it is under the command of NDMA, and its head is Director General Officer. And we have got 12 battalions right now, organized and manned by persons on deputation from paramilitary forces. It can be from BSF, it can be from CRPF, CISF, ITBP, and SSB. Total strength of each battalion is approximately 1,149, and out of one battalion, we can prepare 18 self-contained specialized kind of research and rescue teams of 45% each. It can be engineers, it can be technicians, electricians. It also has dog escorts and also medical and paramedics in that team. So 1,149 persons make one battalion. It can be providing 18 teams of 45 persons each, and it can include engineers, technicians, and people like that, including dog squads. Then it has got 4 specific battalions which is capable of responding to radiological disasters, nuclear disasters, biological and chemical disasters. So a specific kind of force. This schematic diagram talks about where all these battalions have been posted right now, seeing the strategic locations in our country so that they can cover the nearby disasters, and at the time of disasters, without wasting time, they can be sent to the sites. Now, this is another NDRF. This is about the response fund. There is mechanism of response fund in our Disaster Management Act, and it is working since the inception of this Disaster Management Act. But one area was missing. There is concept of mitigation fund also in the DMF, but somehow or the other we could not have that fund. But the next slide talks about that. Under the Article 280, finance commissions are constituted. So this 15th finance commission, which is in force since 1st of April 2020. It has talked about promoting local level mitigation activities. Mitigation funds has to be set up at both national and state level, and it has recommended recently creation of funds for disaster mitigation along with disaster response. So now this fund naming nomenclature has changed. Now this is National Disaster Risk Management Fund, NDRMF, and State Disaster Risk Management Fund, which has contribution for mitigation also, 20% contribution. So out of every 100 rupee, 20 rupee has been kept away for mitigation. And as far as this year 2020-2021 fiscal year is concerned, this commission has recommended grants in state portion to the tune of rupees 28,983 crore, and allocated in the NDRMF rupees 12,390 crores for this fiscal year. So this is an important development with respect to mitigation funds. Now, last few slides. See, disasters threaten development, just as development creates disaster risk. So mutually, they are I mean kind of helping each other in negatively to enhance each one's impact on the society. So disasters are indicators of developmental failures and measures of the sustainability of development is associated with it. So you talk about hazard, you talk about vulnerability and exposure. They all are influenced by number of risk drivers. It can be poverty, it can be inequality, it can be badly planned and managed urban and regional developmental schemes. It can also be climate change, like checkpoints have mentioned, and environmental degradation. And we have to go for resilience, increasing resilience. That is the ability of communities, societies, and systems to resist so that they can absorb the impact of disaster, so that they can accommodate the losses in times to come, and also recover from disasters and improve their well-being. So there is a need to understand society's capacity to protect ourselves from disasters and also continuously improve upon it. So if we talk about the disaster management cycle, when this response comes, we go for integrated response in accordance with strategic priorities, then we go for recovery, then we go for prevention and mitigation, then we go for preparedness. So this whole cycle is covered, but important aspect is in terms of a strategic emergency management plan. During all this course of actions and activities and mechanisms, we have to think importantly with respect to whether our plans, policies, and measures that we are taking are environmentally scanned or not, whether we are taking the aspects of environment degradation into that or not, whether we are going for leadership engagement or not, like Prime Minister says, I mean, bring women forward, not only in the measures of participating, but in the measures of bringing forward their leadership skills. Then we have also to take care of whether our policy and plans are taking care of all hazards risk assessment or not. Trainings, exercise, mock drills, and other activities are involved in each and every phase or not. So capability improvement process is a dynamic process. It is a evolving process. It has to be there always. Once a mock drill in a year is not enough. We have to go for mock drills and capacity building time and again with respect to the lessons, with respect to the mitigation measures, with respect to the community skill development enhancement. We have to go on so forth in such a fashion that our communities is better prepared in times to come. Then in the meantime, we have also to go for performance assessment, whether we are going in the right direction or not. So all this mechanism, if we put forth in our schemes of things, then it is called a strategic emergency management plan. And if it is implemented properly at the ground level, then only efficient result or outcome can be hoped with respect to the plans that is in our hands. This is the last slide. I would like to tell you about one important aspect of Earth Overshoot Day. One, this organization Global Footprint is working in this area since 1970. If we try to make you understand this aspect, that Earth has the regenerating capacity of natural resources that we exhume or that we utilize in a year's time. So what is happening post 1970, if you observe, then last year this date has fallen on August 1, this 2018 and also 2019 fall on August 1. It means on August 1 on that particular year, be it 18 or 19, we have exhausted all the natural resources that Mother Earth could regenerate in that year. So beyond August 1, we are using those fixed deposit kind of natural resources which we should not utilize for our own sustenance, but we are using that. So in that capacity, in that quantum, if you calculate, so probably in today's time, in 2020, we are using 1.75 Earth. We have only one Earth, but we are using 1.75 Earth. So that way you can say, for our future generation, like I started with one slide, that we should not feel that we have inherited Mother Earth from our ancestors, but rather we have borrowed it from our future generation. So presently, if we are using 1.75 Earth, and one report says that by 2080, this population is going to reach to 10.8 billion people. So probably by that time we are in a position to use three Earths at a time. So kind of pressure that we are going to put on natural resources, that is very huge, that is magnanimous, and accordingly we are going to reduce the possibility of our human sustenance in times to come. So we have this pandemic has taught us many lessons. We have to use less and less so that we can preserve our natural resources for our ever increasing population, ever increasing climate change extremes, ever increasing natural disasters, ever increasing man-made disasters. So if we see human this species to flourish or even exist, then we have to redefine our definitions of growth and development in these times of pandemic, in these times of new normals, so that we can preserve our natural resources for our future generations. So I end with my talk with these two quotations, beautiful quotations. If you fail to prepare, then you prepare to fail. It means we have to plan ourselves for very drastic and very dangerous times that is looming over us for our future generation in times to come. And also an ounce of prevention. If we go for prevention, then it is worth a pound of cure. So UN ISDR one report says that 1 rupee if you put in mitigation, like Chakrabarti has said, then that is very, very important. It probably saves rupees 7 at the time of disaster response. So with that, I close my talk. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Over to you, Shilpi.
Thank you very much, sir, for this very knowledgeable presentation. And you rightly said that we need to prepare. If we do not prepare, then we are prepared to fail. And this is a wonderful presentation where you talked about basics of disaster management, institution mechanisms such as NIDM and NDMA, various disaster management authorities and forces that are there to cope up with the disasters. So thank you very much, sir. Now I request our next speaker, Dr. Sanjay Singh sir, OP Jindal University. Dr. Sanjay Singh is an assistant dean, student affairs, and professor English at OP Jindal University, Raigad. Having more than 16 years experience in teaching and administrative administration, his specialization is in his specialization is in teaching Indian writing in English and English language teaching. He has delivered many keynotes, visiting lectures at the IWE, ELT, Soft Skills, EI, CSR, Disaster Management, and Human Rights. Dr. Singh has organized one international conference, four national conferences, three national workshops, one national colloquium, one national seminar, national level tech fests, workshops, under faculty development programs, many workshops for the students, and participated as resource person and paper presenter in more than 70 international and national conferences and seminars. He has completed a translation project assigned by People's Linguistic Service in India in 2013, Bhasha Gujarat. He is a member of many professional associations. He has edited Quest A, Quarterly News Bulletin, OPJIT, Young Professional, a monthly magazine for youths, Pravat, a literary tabloid, and 6 books. He is a recipient of several awards such as Dr. SRK National Teacher Award, Vidya Ratan Award for Research Excellence, Distinguished Leadership Award, to name a few. Sir, over to you for your presentation on community capacity building.
Thank you, Shilpi ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Thank you very much.
Okay. So at first, good morning, everyone. And I would like to thank NIDM and Andhra Pradesh Human Resource Development Institute. Share whatever thoughts I have regarding community capacity. Before going ahead, I would like to show you some photographs because it is in many of you can it is cyclone. Area. Some of the states in the country, they are not having such kind of all types of disasters. But Andhra Pradesh, cyclone is there, flood is there. So think about it. Not only this, earthquake is there, and many more. And I think you can remember the latest one. In the month of May, everybody suffered. Man-made disasters also. So think about it. Do we need to do something or not? These are the photographs which are reminding us that yes, we need to do something. We don't want to suffer. I don't want to be in this photograph. And I don't want that anybody of you should be in this photograph. We all have to come out of all these things. Look at this. Although it is a earlier one, that how we all are suffering, especially Andhra Pradesh. This is a table for Andhra Pradesh disasters. There is cyclone, flood, drought is there, earthquake is there, tsunami is there, fire is there, and road accidents. So both are there, natural and man-made. Loss, you can see that what kind of loss is there. Not only human being loss, that is casualties, although that is the biggest asset. But there is loss of property also. Think about in between 2006 and 2008, 15,902 crores. That's not a very. Really, we can say that with the help of few things, it is true that we cannot do everything. But most of the time, we look at the government, that this is the task of government, not us. But what we feel, and now what an idea and what the government, task of government. Cleaning is not, nearby area cleaning is not the task of government. We all have to come forward. We are. Same here, for the sake of saving ourselves from any kind of disasters, we have to get prepared. That's why government what says and what true that we can't do everything, but we can do
संजय
something.
सर
Yeah, ma'am.
संजय सर हाँ सर आपका ना शायद बैंडविड्थ जो है वो थोड़ा लो है तो अगर आप अपना वीडियो ऑफ कर देंगे तो बेटर ऑडिबल जी सर
Just a minute. Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Is that?
I did, sir. Yes, yes. Okay,
Okay.
please carry on.
Okay. So we intend to do them very well. Because I can say here that about 1,000 plus participants are here. I request you all, whatever, although it is told that whatever you do, do by the heart. So this is although not for the sake of government, not for the sake of others, but first this is for the sake of ourselves. So very conscious. Setting for the government, setting for the society. This is first for us. You have to start it. And why trying to come and say okay. Just for the sake of president, to your whole heart and mind. So really look at some potatoes. To be fair, please plan in such a way. When we talk, it's true that people die. But keep in mind, more people die not only because this is the first time that we are so that we can themselves. So this is one step to about mitigation means instead of doing something at a time of happening, that we should start as a sir said at 1 ounce and then 1 pound. Prevention is better than. So this is about prevention. Here we are here with the training. We can say yes, we are ready.
Sir, संजय सर, सॉरी टू डिस्टर्ब यू. अगर मैंने अभी आपको ईमेल आईडी दी है, आप अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन ना रविंद्र सर को मेल कर दीजिए और वो आपकी तरफ से प्रेजेंटेशन रन कर देंगे और आप सिर्फ बोल लीजिएगा. सर आपका ऑडिबल मतलब बहुत कट रही है वॉइस, तो वही प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, सुनने में प्रॉब्लम है. सर वो नेटवर्क का ही इशू है.
ओके
सर इट्स नेटवर्क इशू. जी सर, अभी अभी आपको पर्सनली मैंने मैसेज किया, आप देखिए इसमें ही वेबएक्स में चैट, वेबएक्स के चैट बॉक्स में.
उसमें किया ना मैम, पढ़ना पड़ेगा.
मैं व्हाट्सएप पे कर देती हूँ जी, बिल्कुल.
Sorry, just a minute. Actually, आज ये प्रॉब्लम कैसे हो रही है पता नहीं.
सर हो ही रही है आज, मुझे भी लग रहा है कि नेटवर्क प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. सर के साथ भी हो रहा है।
हुआ
सर एक बार आप देख लीजिए अपना व्हाट्सएप में।
just showing.
No, not this, sir. Small,
Okay.
all in small.
Okay. I'm just sharing it. I have sent.
ओके रविंद्र सर प्लीज देख लीजिए एक बार।
Okay, madam. Not yet received. Yes, madam. I have received. Okay, I will update from my side.
थैंक यू सर।
Thank you.
सर
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, this one, sir.
Yes, sir. Full. Please make it full screen, sir. At the bottom. Sorry, everyone, for this technical glitch. Yes, sir. Full screen. Yeah. Go ahead. Next one. Yeah, next one. Next one. Next one. You can click next one. It will come. Next. 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 So I was talking about this. Back, sir, back. We're going ahead. No, sir, back, back, not forward. Sorry, everybody. I was talking about prevention is better than cure. So the whole exercise is for the sake of making us trained, making us more reliable for ourselves. That yes, whenever something comes to us, any kind of disaster, any kind of event comes to us, we face. When we talk about community, so community-based disaster management for us, if I'm taking that is face any kind of better building community and analyzing the structure is the means and the structure and capacity building means all go together, means all have to come together, they have to work together so that we can really here you see. Sir, you just click on, there are 5, so you can click on it. So first thing, don't worry. Okay, today, at the end, you will learn and you can make a good friend of it. Think that you are the person who is most important valued person to yourself. Other values are not. But first, you value yourself most. What we say, be confident. You are the greatest asset for yourself. So whenever come, I love myself. If you die, at least you are able to do so. When we prepare for examinations, so this is not one kind of preparation. Anything comes, we will make it like that. It's true that you have to take yourself really that it will be only one day. Me too. Nobody is actually worthless without the way achieved. Not the society. Enter first. So when we always say, oh, you can, it has a purpose that yes, psychologically we make you ready to do something. So here you will be ready to do whatever you want. Next, please. So psychologically get ready. And in complete disaster management plan, as Ashish sir has also told you, the most important one component is capacity building and training needs. So in this planning, in this particular 3 days EFDP, we are not only addressing other things, mechanism and other things, but also capacity building, training needs. What are the things you need to be trained? With the help of photographs, I have tried to tell you that these are the areas where, especially this particular area, these people need to be trained. So let's go ahead, see what may happen ahead. Why community? Why we are talking about the community preparedness? Because the fastest and most effective provided close to the place to the emergency. The person who is very close to the emergency. Suppose anything happens in my colony, will be the first person, or we will be the first person to overcome that. We can reach there the fast. If there is any kind of fire, fire brigade will come later. We will call them, and it may take about half an hour minimum. But we can reach there. We can try our level best as fast as possible. So this is why we are trying to train the community so that response of the community can come fast, because and it may be better one if they are trained and equipped also. Next. And that's what preparedness is the, or you can say the building capacity of the community is in the central part. Why? As I told you, yeah, next. Community is always the first responder. If anything happens in my nearby area, our nearby area, we will reach there first. Government will later come there later on. NDRF will come later on. SDRF will come later on. Government agencies will come later on. But first, who will go there? Who will reach there? The community, the nearby area people. I told you. You can but can't. Inherent capacity for response comes first. Most of the God that please give us the strength. We can response, we can we all are here. Yes. Already and develop it. Next please. Next please. And what are the things to make us learn? Before disaster, what to do, during disaster, what to do, and after disaster, what to do. Next. You say that you have to train yourself. You have to get the coaching. And capacity building is not just coming, learning, and going back to home, doing nothing. It is an ongoing process that equips us to perform our functions in a better manner. So it is, keep in mind, this is ongoing process. We have to practice. We have to participate in mock drills. We have to update ourselves. We all have and why we are working on it? Because human resource is the most important. As I told you earlier, that we are the greatest. So human resource development is most important part of capacity building. Objective, there are many objectives. Yeah, click on. Give the whole PPT. Hello? Sir, click on please. So it is true that there are many objectives. Why we want it? Next, please. Because we want, there must be minimum disaster risk. We can reduce it. Okay. The most important stunning disaster preparedness for about capacity building. It is about at the art levels. NGOs can work with us. Government can work. And here, suppose if we are at the lowest level today, so with the help of such kind of, I think one day, very soon you can say, we will be at the top level. Means we will be the trained one. And that is the objective of government and I institution, so that we all can do something at the time of disasters. Next, sir. Ultimate goal is that we can develop your potential, inherent capacity to respond. At the time we can work on, and we can save the humanity, we can secure the humanity, all those who are nearby, near ones, dear ones, and social people. That is the so coming to the point, capacity building requires three things. Number one, knowledge. That whatever information comes to you, like COVID-19, when it came, nobody was able to understand what is happening. We were in dilemma, but gradually we started saving ourselves. So first is knowledge. We have to acquire the knowledge about understanding of the all types of disasters, especially your area disasters. Then accordingly, we have to develop our skills, ability to perform a task. If in my area there is flood, I have to develop the skill that how we can save ourselves and other people from flood. So this is what developing the skills. And then, as I told you earlier also, psychological impact, motivation, that yes, yeah, we want to do it. I'm not telling you that you must be a volunteer. I don't want to tell you that yes, you go and join any NGO. But at your own level, please develop such capacity that whenever anything comes to us, anything comes to you, really we are so yeah, I think you individual and family environment. Here environment means people. Everybody should be a part of training program. Everybody should learn how to cope up with the disasters. So at these three levels, we all are working. Got these three levels. Am I audible properly or not?
Sir, audible, sir, but sometimes we are getting break, sir. Okay, now it is clear, sir. Yeah, please carry.
So what are the things we have to learn? We have to learn two types of things, that is technical capacities and functional capacities. All can't learn technical capacities, but still few things we can learn. If we talk about fire extinguisher, that how to use fire extinguisher, I think we can learn. There is a technical needs are different area wise, and we have to learn them. But when we talk how we can those who assess the what happens. We can imagine, we can assess the situation. I think you can get the information from the agencies that yes, how much prone area is. So accordingly, we can make some plans, we can formulate policies, strategies, and we can talk about the budget also. So committee level, we spend some budget. NGOs, they also spend some budget. At our own level in the societies also, we spend some budget for the sake of working during disasters. I think you pay some maintenance charges in the societies. If you are living in a society that is colony, each month you pay some amount of money as the maintenance part. That maintenance as a community building, naturally number two map. Now, the area where you are living, what kind of natural disaster may take place at that area, what kind of man-made. We cannot predict man-made like Jammu and Kashmir. We know what happens there. We are at the point of gun sometimes. So we have to get ready to overcome that. So, like you know well, in a cycle, and now it is very less. This is what those who are the society also. We must understand. Sir, back, please, sir. Yeah. So the most one is here. You can see the company and households. Means what our and other people through the capacity building, these are the elements. Number one, as you are doing right now. So education and disaster prevention and responses, we must learn it. Those who are near the disaster areas, especially when we know that this is the particular disaster prone area, like earthquake prone area, like flood prone area. And always possible. We have to learn. Source is most reliable source, which is just a fake source or may not be the right source. All these things we must understand, and then how to use first aid. What are the things we should keep in the first aid? Next one. Next one. So try to, when you go home, just try to understand what area, things, what are the disaster they may be. Things I have. So I'll tell you today. Other things you can think of. Great. Suppose contact numbers are the people, those who can work you or those who can help you at a time of disasters like fire, to whom you have to contact. So in such a way, you can build, expand the network capacity. Awareness, it should be given to everybody. So must be some group, like we all have nowadays WhatsApp group. So there must be colony WhatsApp group or some committee WhatsApp group, so that whatever things are there, but it must be reliable. Anything happens, it must be given to everybody. The message should reach to everybody. Assess outcomes and impacts, and then on your own, you can think of whatever we are doing, is it going to work or not? Assess, you come to know about the negatives, about the lacunas, deficiencies, and then you can comply with them. Next one, please. So let's come together and learn what to do next. Let me talk about preparedness. So what are the things we have to do? Minimum. I'm talking about the minimum, not the maximum. So minimum is number one. Next one. Knowledge and preparation are the keys to survival in the event of a catastrophe. So we have to get informed, number one, that is, we must know about the things, and then accordingly we have to prepare. As I told you, when there is examination, we prepare about the same subject. We don't prepare the other subject. So this is what. So if you want really, I think we are ready for this one, that yes, I have to be prepared instead of getting surprised. Earlier there was a word atithi, that is guest. The person who without information. Nowadays, I think this is changed, and we want them to be my he or she. So next steps. Next one. There are 4 steps you can. Hello. Get information about the disasters at your area, then make a plan. What you can do, step back, step back, step back. Yeah. What are the things you can do? Then here I will talk about two types of kits. Number one, disaster kit, and there is go kit. Means one is one kit you have to prepare at your home, which is for the sake of any kind of disaster, but it is stationary. Second one, you have to, so at any time if you have to, you are in area, you move. So what, so that you can go out of your home. Those things you have to prepare, and whatever plan and kits are, you have to maintain them. And most importantly, sometimes you may have the people like children, visually impaired, different special needy people also. Next one. Next. So get informed. As I told you, I have started with informing you that you are in the area cyclone, when there is a flood, where there is earthquake, where there is tsunami, and there is industrial disasters also. So accordingly, especially where right now you are right now, take care of that area. That yes, this is the area. Next. Very easy. You can make a so that's it. So those who are so number one, whenever you start planning, creating your disaster kit and go kit, keep in mind that you survive and won't have any problem for 72 hours, because that will be the maximum time to reach any kind of help from outside. So prepare for 72 hours. You know, if it is flood prone area, how to evacuate, where is the shelter, earthquake. Is not available. Just what, there is no what to do. Something. Next. But you have to keep in mind that these are things which we anyhow we have to keep with ourselves. Number one, basic first aid. Fire. Any area, area. So you need to know where is the shelter. So sheltering, you must know what is the evacuation, how you get the notice from where. So what are the things you have to keep in your disaster kits and go kits? Stationary and Portable means at the time of moving from your home, you have to use that. So disaster things you have to keep. Number one, tell them that at this time, at any kind of emergency, you have to access it, and they must know this is easily accessible. Keep water for 70 hours, especially as well as only water supply. 72 hours. Junk food. Personal documents you can keep in a disaster kit also. Mobile cannot work properly. Internet problem may be there. So have a battery operated radio, not bigger one, a small one. So that time of emergency you can use that. Torch or candles you can keep with yourself. Extra batteries you should put in that disaster kit. Medicines, whatever medicines you need and whatever may be of use, like any kind of antiseptic. Yeah, we need it at any time. So you can keep that also. Although we don't use it regularly, but we should keep it. First aid kit, blankets, especially those who are in so also that after has sanitizers and personal hygiene items like soap and etc. Places that is certain place, it will help you, and most importantly, some cash. Maybe 2,000, 5,000 rupees minimum. As per your requirement, you should have some cash because there may be emergency, medical emergency. So it will help you. So that is reserve. Like portable to take the evacuation center or shelter. Means it must not be very heavy. You have to have the things, but not very heavy, or it must have some wheels so that you can, if it is heavy, you can move it easily. Water for 72 hours, snack items for 72 hours, pen, pencil, and paper. If you have to move, GoKit it needs it. So pen, pencil, and paper, copies are important. Personal documents, actually, I told you earlier also. Personal hygiene items, first aid kit, and the next one is very important, over-the-counter medications and personal prescriptions. Because we all have some problems, may have some problems. So accordingly, if you have any prescription that you need regular medicine, radio, and for GoKit you need bedding also. Very heavy, small one, you can say light one, which you can use. You can move fast with that. Cash again, and other reasonable items to make you feel comfortable in a shelter. So these two things, please prepare, keep at your home. One is disaster kit and one is GoKit. It will help you, especially because you people are in AP people are especially in flood prone area, especially those who are in the coastal areas, tsunami prone area. I request you, and those who are in earthquake also, please have disaster kits and GoKits at your home. Next, please. You have loss means earthquakes. So these are things which you can. If I think nowadays we can get with the help of local news channels also. Yeah, because everything has a expiry date. So we have to review. We have to check our medical, especially medical items, medicines, that whether they are expired or not. So within 6 months we can change it, and let your outside contact where you keep your kit. Means neighboring people also you can inform them that if you need it, the family members should know. So a few things are there. You can take a pick of it. That what are the things we need if we have some special people with us, like old age people. Special people with us, we need additional challenges to cope up. So you can think of them that suppose an old person is there. So what are things they require additionally? It may be sometimes. So accordingly, we have to plan them also. Next one. Next, please. According to the need of your children, their age, you create a list of their medications. You can think what are the things they want. So children and teens, next. Because most all these things you can have anytime they can get the help. They should not feel any uncomfort things. So here some specific preparation for the seniors. Next. This is for mobility impairment, those who cannot walk. So you have to train them that what are you must know that family members must know how they can evacuate. It may be share. Maybe sometimes that means just think about three things. That is stationary. Second one, go kit, which can help you a lot. Third one, according to the need of your people who are residing with you, your family members, like visually impaired. Anyhow, you have to keep an extra mobility cane in disaster kit because some people are visually impaired. Then prepare written description of how to use assistive devices. They are visually impaired, but so others, if somebody else is there, you are not there, they can also get can give the help with the help of that prescription or whatever you have written. No emergency exit routes are building you are in. You can tell them, you can make them practice. I think you all have seen the movie Aankhein, where blind people do something with the help of practice. So with the help of practice, we can make them know that what are the emergency evacuation routes, and we also know that what are the emergency evacuation routes, so that at the time of disaster we can make them out, we can keep them out. Because if they can't hear properly, they can write well, so pen and paper can help us apart from other things. Here, as I told you, cognitive problematic people, those who have some mental health, according to their disease, on the things you can identify what are things they need. If you have pets, they are also a part of our life. So we have to take care of our pets. What are the services our pets need in the shelters? So whether they will be available or not, we can make our own and applicable. Your ultimately, if we not plan properly, yes, we are getting trained not for the sake of ourselves. Yes, sir, make it not for ourselves. We are asset first for ourselves, then for the family. So please let us use knowledge, innovation, and education to build a culture of safety and resilience at all levels. We can save ourselves from any kind of suffering. We can lessen the suffering. We can reduce the disaster risk with the help of well-aware responsibilities and resources well designed in place. So this is the end from my side. Don't rely only that go will do, go will do, government will do. We all have to be a part of any kind of disaster safe. The first person to save us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, Sanjay sir, for this wonderful presentation. Although there was some technical glitch, but it's fine because it happens in online training programs. So, you discussed what, sir?
Facebook.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You rightly said that community is the first one to reach at the place where the disaster strikes, and hence people are needed to be trained so that they can respond in proper manner. And you also discussed the various types of capacity building and the processes of capacity building, and how to make a disaster management plan for their homes and offices, and how we have to consider the special needs of the people, such as old age people and people with special or different abilities. So thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful presentation. And
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
sir,
you, madam.
if I may take a few questions in the chat box.
Sure, sure.
Sir, can you clarify that does human early warning system exist? Human early warning system?
Early warning systems. Government gives us
Yes.
early warning systems. They inform us because I don't know nowadays. I
Yes.
think about cyclones we are getting from information from satellites. So we have
Absolutely.
warning systems. Yeah. Yeah.
And one more question, sir. What is the role of media in disaster risk reduction and resilience?
I think we should thank, especially in this particular part, that whenever there is any kind of information regarding disasters, it may be cold, it may be any kind of snowfall, it may be any kind of a cyclone, it may be any kind of things. We get information from the media first. So I think there is a
Absolutely.
great role. Yeah. Because
So,
we don't use nowadays radios. So that is the first thing nowadays who are informing us. So we should be grateful for that. Yes, we can criticize for many other things also, but in this regard, we can say they are doing the best. So I think they have great role in this part.
absolutely. And also about early warning system, we have a presentation on our third day
Yes,
related
yes.
to
Earthquake and satellite systems.
technological interventions in
Yes,
disaster risk reduction. So, Dr. Engineer Avdesh will answer your queries in a better manner. So,
yes.
there's one more
They will show
question.
them. They will show them. These are the systems. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Of course. How our country position if of if any enemy country plan biological war on us, are we enough potential to tackle biological war?
I think now COVID-19 has started us making prepared one. Earlier we were not very much prepared, but now we are getting prepared. I can say the government is doing a lot. I think we have lots of beds in the hospitals. We have different centers. We have a maximum number of ventilators and etc. etc. now. So now I can say that we are getting ready for that. Earlier it was not possible. I think it was not there, but now we are getting ready. At all levels, maybe local government, state government, national government, everywhere, central government, everywhere we are getting ready for that. So we will be prepared. 100%.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। और साथ ही हमारी भी ये जिम्मेदारी है कि हम तैयार रहें। अब बाहर अगर कभी भी निकले तो प्रॉपर सैनिटाइजेशन प्रैक्टिसेस हमें, क्योंकि सारी
मास्क,
जी बिल्कुल, सारी जिम्मेदारी गवर्नमेंट की नहीं है, कुछ लोगों की भी है, तो हमें भी अपना ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा। बिल्कुल सर, बिल्कुल सर। So thank you very much, sir, for answering these queries. And now I request Ms. Nazia ma'am to kindly summarize today's program and inform our participants for tomorrow's proceedings. Nazia ma'am.
Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
One and all. First of all, I would like to thanks to Executive Director of NIDM for this collaboration. My grateful thanks to Sri Chakrapani IAS retired for his wonderful inaugural speech, and then thanks to today's speakers Sanjay Singh sir, Ashish sir, and thanks to all the participants for their patient listening. Still, at the end of the session, also 1,000 members are there. Yeah. And tomorrow we have presentations on a case study on cyclone Amphan by Shilki ma'am at 10 to 10:40 a.m. And second session on forest fire and its management by Dr. V.K. Dhawan sir at 10:40 to 11:20 a.m. And third session on role of GIS in DRR at 11:20 to 12 p.m. And I request to all the participants kindly join by same link tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I have already mentioned in every mail and every message, participation is mandatory on all three days for e-certificate. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.